Hey, Jesse, how are you?
Hey, Mike, I'm great.
Good, good. Thanks for taking time to talk to me.
Oh, I'm really excited that you asked me to do this.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on your new job.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Recently named new executive director of the Pulaski YMCA. That must be pretty exciting for you.
I'm very, very excited. It's an odd time to take on a role like this, but it's still great. It's awesome. I love it.
Uh, for those who don't know you, give me a little bit of background on yourself, your family, background, education, previous work experience, those kind of things.
Sure. Well, I'm from Pulaski County. I actually grew up on our family farm in the house that my great great grandfather built.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother was born in. So, growing up in Pulaski, like many teenagers, I think had a love-hate relationship with the place that they're from. I've come to kind of learn that everybody thinks that the place they grew up in is lame, whether it is, Pulaski or New York or Columbus, Ohio. So I was really excited to leave Pulaski when I graduated from high school, and I went to school for 1 year at American University in Washington, D.C., and quickly decided how much I really missed Pulaski. I really love DC, but I kept saying, like, if we could just move Pulaski closer, I'd be fine. And so I came back and got my undergraduate degree at Virginia Tech in human development with a concentration in early childhood education. And I've been here ever since. So I got my master. I taught for a very short period of time in Durham, North Carolina, where I kind of learned I was a lot more concerned about whether or not the kids could get along and what was going on with them behaviorally and emotionally than if they learn their long division, which doesn't make for the best teacher. Not that all teachers don't have concern for that, but I had far too little concern for some of their academics. So I decided to get my master's in social work at Radford. It's just been a really great experience from there. I've worked at NRVCS for 2 years doing prevention, and luckily got to do some things in Pulaski County then. And then I worked for Family Preservation Services for almost 15 years doing therapeutic day treatment. And it was great. I started as a counselor at Kreiser Elementary and kind of moved around and moved up. And for a long time, I coordinated all of our school-based counseling services in Pulaski and then the greater NRV and then eventually the state before I left there. So, yeah. And then along the way, I'm married. My husband, LA, works at the Arsenal. He's also from Pulaski. I have two kids, Miller and Nora. They are 11, recently turned 11, and 8. And we, in the last year, built a house on our family farm right next to my parents and the house we grew up in. So, yeah.
Well, you are, as they say, born and raised.
I am. I am. I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah. So tell me about your new position, what that involves, and maybe some of the things that you've got planned at the YMCA.
Oh, yeah. I actually worked at the YMCA when I came back to Pulaski before, like the summer before I started at Virginia Tech. I started working at the YMCA as a lifeguard and then into childcare. And I kind of will date myself, but when I started here, I realized that was 20 years ago, and I about fell out. So, so I worked doing most of our school-age care for about 6 years here at the Y, which was mostly summer. And I just loved it, and I couldn't even pinpoint why. It was just a very odd attachment I had to our YMCA. Anyway, and I learned to swim here when I was young. I went to childcare for a little while I was here. Then I worked here and came back. And when Allison announced that she was retiring, I thought, man, this really might be the next thing for me. At the time, it was hard for me to imagine leaving TDT and FPS because I still really loved our mission and what we were doing there, but it just felt like this was the right match. So Allison just did phenomenal groundwork. Our YMCA was in really difficult space when she came on, and she really brought us, you know, to a really nice place. And I'm just excited to continue that on and do more. You know, I think if you have been to our YMCA or have been a member, probably most people have dreams for us to have at some point in time a new facility or some pretty significant updates to our current facility. So those are kind of my long-term big dreams. Short-term, we're working really hard to make our building the best it can be and make sure people know that the Y is for everyone, and support our community in whatever ways we can.
So how are you handling all this in the midst of a pandemic?
I think if I have said one time, I've said 15 times in the last month. We are doing a lot of flying the airplane while we're building it. So actually when I started, the YMCA was closed because gyms can't be open in phase one. So we were in phase one. We were hustling and prepared. Actually, we weren't even into phases yet, into any reopening phases. And we thought gyms were going to be part of phase one. So we were hustling and trying to get ready for that. And then at the last minute, some things shifted with the state and we weren't able to open. So then it was more kind of regrouping and reprocessing. You know, you just have to be flexible and creative, making sure that we're doing things that are safe for everyone. It's, in all honesty, it's a fun challenge. Yeah. And it's been really nice to see how excited people are to come back to the YMCA for a lot of different reasons. So that's been very rewarding.
Yeah. What are some of the precautions that you and your staff are taking about keeping folks safe?
Yes, so that is really our number one priority. It's always our number one priority, but it has a different meaning right now. So certainly when you come into the YMCA, we ask for you to wear masks. They're not required while you're exercising, but while you're moving around the building, and maintain social distancing just like other places. For our actual facility, in our cardio room, we've had to close down some of our equipment to enable a 10-foot distance between the different pieces of equipment. Similarly, in our weight room, you know, we have moved things around so that it's easier to keep a 10-foot distance from the other people who are working out. We have lots of cleaning procedures. We have things where people clean their own equipment. We try to keep an eye out if that isn't happening well and go behind and clean as well. We're closed from 1 to 2 every day to clean. And we're still at a place where we're having to limit the number of people who are in certain parts of our building, like the pool, because in order to keep a 10-foot distance, there's only so much space in our pool. But it seems to work. It's working out. It's working out okay. Yeah.
Does it seem like most of your members are understanding of the situation?
Oh yes. Yeah, we have had minimal to any kinds of additional questions or concerns, and I really hope we've been able to accommodate people's needs and answer the questions as best we can. You know, we do have a pretty large group of members who are elderly and or, you know, of a at-risk population. And, you know, some of those members have chosen not to come back yet, which we totally understand. We're really fortunate to have an awesome nurse on staff, and so she still keeps in touch with them pretty regularly to make sure that they don't need anything. So, yeah, it's going well.
Yeah. Well, hey, you've dedicated most of your professional career to working with young people. Why is that so important to you?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. When I left for college and my big dreams and knowing everything at the age of 18,
Like everybody else.
Yeah, right. I thought that I wanted to, it makes me laugh even to think about it now, but my degree path at American University was international studies, with a specialization in Latin American studies. And I all but failed my first Spanish class. I did not go far. And actually what happened is I came back home. I was just like, I know I want to be closer to home. I think that at Tech I originally enrolled to do interdisciplinary studies. There's still some variation of, thinking that I would want to do something more overseas, which is quite hysterical because I just get closer and closer to my actual original home. But working here at the Y, I remember thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, this is it for me. I love kids. I've always loved kids. I love being around kids. I actually remember when I went to college, it kind of hit me all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm not going to see any kids at this place. It's all like adults and teenagers. That's boring. Yeah. So I just have always had a love for kids. And, I was very fortunate to have such an awesome upbringing with my family, but also the greater Pulaski community. And I think that's one reason I'm so passionate about Pulaski is I do feel like I had the opportunity to be raised up in a community that I always felt a part of and cared for. And it's important to me that other kids have that experience too. That was a lot of what was important to me about day treatment was that kids, I always loved school, and it was so weird to me that everybody didn't love school. I didn't understand that. My husband is like, you're such a nerd, Jessie. Like, everything is not like that. But kids spend so much time at school. I wanted them to feel like that was their home too, and they were welcome and included there. So, yeah.
Well, and it's a safe space for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Especially if their home life isn't great. So.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, you have been involved with the Pulaski County Proud campaign. You kind of helped us get it off the ground. You've been involved with some of the social media stuff, and back in the early days when we got it off the ground, the big push was to offset some of the negativity, some of the stereotypes around Pulaski County and its residents. So can you talk about why this campaign is so important to the community?
Yeah, I think that I do think that there are points in time in certain pockets you'll still hear a lot of negativity about Pulaski, and it certainly is not perfect. Just to be honest, if I was a teenager here again, I probably would have some of the same feelings of there's not a lot to do, there's not a lot of experience, and different kinds of things to experience. And I want people to know there's more to our community than that, and more to our community than that reputation. And I want people to feel proud of where they're from, because there are really great things going on in Pulaski. Again, like you said, I've done so much with kids. I especially think that Pulaski is a great place to raise children. I think our school system is really excellent and thoughtful, and has a wide array of opportunities for all kinds of students, whether you're college bound or not, or doing something else. I think that our community works really hard to set our kids up for success in life. And that's something special about us that I want people to be proud of.
Yeah. So what's been your proudest Pulaski County moment so far?
Oh, gosh. Oh, it's so hard to pick one.
You don't have to pick just one. If you've got
I know. Okay, well, I would say one of the more recent ones was when we, as a community, and I was not primarily involved in this. I was definitely on the back end, a secondary person, came together to submit the video for HGTV. It was so exciting. It was really fun, and it was fun to see all kinds of different people. I think whether you mean to or not, sometimes depending on what you do, you are on a path where you see a lot of the same people, whether it's, your age and stage in life with your kids, and I see a lot of the same people because all of our kids are the same age and playing rec sports together. Anyway, so the cool thing about that was I was like, here are all kinds of people I've never even seen before. And it made me really feel proud that, it's never perfect, but we had drawn people in. It was really fun to be dancing in the streets. It was freezing that day. But it was really cool. It was really neat.
Yeah. What's the best part of living in Pulaski County?
Oh, the people. Hands down, the people. I really do think that most people are good, and I feel like you can see that if you really pay attention well in Pulaski. Everything from larger organizations coming together. Right now we're doing some emergency childcare at Pulaski Elementary School, and that has been, for me, a really huge and exciting partnership with the county and the schools. And everybody has just bent over backwards, not for me, but for our kids and families. All the way down to little tiny things like, I see where people will put on Facebook, there is somebody who often stands at the side of the road and needs rides. And there were probably 20 comments of people being like, oh yeah, I've given that guy a ride before. He's the nicest guy. And somebody else is like, oh yeah, I'll try to give him a ride. It's just, I feel like that is a good representation of our community as a whole, is that people of all walks want to help each other and support each other. And I've always felt that living here.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that that's something you find everywhere you go.
Yeah, well, I've mostly been here, so I can't speak a lot to that.
Are you hopeful for the future of Pulaski County?
Oh, absolutely. I really feel like, a renaissance is probably a little bit of a dramatic word to use, but it does feel to me different than it has felt in the past, in that more and more things are coming to Pulaski and people are being excited about Pulaski. I would have to say another hugely proud moment I had was when the referendum passed for us to build the middle school. Mm-hmm. That just still gives me chills, that what a grassroots effort from our community to say, we're all going to do this for the betterment of the whole. So it's exciting to see other businesses come in. It's exciting to see young people invest in the community, and even things that may seem small, like updating the facades of some of our buildings. I feel like there's a lot more passion behind making our community outwardly as wonderful as it is on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually drove by the new middle school just the other day, and I think my jaw literally dropped open. I hadn't seen it in a while. It's an impressive facility.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. So how would you throw out a challenge to other members of the community who maybe don't feel a sense of pride in Pulaski County?
I think that the key is to be connected to your community. In whatever way that is. And so my husband will probably not love that I'm telling this story, but I have always felt like there are great people in Pulaski. There are great things going on in Pulaski. People really care for one another. And my husband was like, I don't know, it's all people who are a lot older, people who are really struggling with other things. And he just didn't really feel connected. And it kind of hit me that the reason I felt so connected was because I did stuff on a regular basis in the schools because of my job. Right. Our kids hadn't quite gotten to the age where they were playing rec sports, and I still did a lot with my church. But now, as our kids have gotten older, and my husband has coached a lot of rec sports, now he is like, oh, it's so great. People here are wonderful. I'm like, it's because you just didn't have that network. You didn't have that connection. So, whether it's with your church or with a school or volunteer or do cool things that are going on at the library, I think if you're feeling like you don't have that feeling and sense of family in Pulaski, it's just because you haven't found your spot and your niche yet. So I will put a little plug in, say, come on out to the Y. You know,
I'd be disappointed if you didn't put that plug in.
I mean, I feel like the Y is for everybody. And I can't tell you how much I love the relationships I built at the Y prior to being in this job. Everything from literally kids that I had 20 years ago in childcare. Some of them still call me. Not often, but you know, from time to time, or I'll be standing pumping gas and somebody will be like, Miss Jessie, and I'm like, who was talking to me? And we some kid, somebody I don't recognize at all because I haven't seen them since they were like 10 years old and they're like 25. Yeah. And they're, you know, they're excited to tell me what's going on in their life. I used to teach spin class, and that's so fun because, you know, when you come in to do fitness classes, you really do, it's an even playing field. And you know, age, differences in culture, background, none of that matters when you're working out and you're all trying to do 5 burpees in a row. It sucks for everybody. We're all on the same page. We're all moaning and groaning at the instructor. Just builds a different kind of relationship with people. So if you haven't been here, we would love for you to come on out and hang out with us at the YMCA.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up, unless you've got something else you want to add.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to talk about Pulaski.
And just to show that you not just talk the talk and walk the walk, show them.
Yep. Here's my
there we go.
Pulaski County
representing. Okay.
We have those for sale here at the YMCA.
That's right. And only $5.
They're only $5.
What a bargain.
Yeah, we hung them back up and posted them up recently on Facebook. And I mean, they are going like hotcakes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jessie, thank you. Hey, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate all that you do. And I'm excited to see what happens in the future of the YMCA with you at the helm. Oh,
I appreciate that, Mike. And I'm really excited to not be so busy with my state position, to be doing things with Pulaski proud and get to hang out with you more. That's always fun.
Well, you know, I'll take you up on it.
I know.
All right. Take care.
Thanks so much, Mike. See ya.
Bye-bye.